The holographic universe of your mind. Imagine for a moment that everything you see, hear, touch, and feel is not truly out there. Imagine that the world you walk through every day is not an external stage, but a vast holographic projection, woven inside the theater of your own mind. This may sound like philosophy. It may sound like mysticism. But science itself tells us, what we call reality is nothing more than electromagnetic waves. Light waves, sound waves, chemical signals, all of them striking your sensory organs, translated into patterns, and sent to the brain. And the brain, your brain, is the grand conductor. It takes this symphony of invisible frequencies and transforms them into the vivid, three-dimensional world you believe you inhabit. But here's the catch. You do not live in that outside world. You live inside the hologram created by your brain. You are forever dwelling in the palace of your imagination. The cave and the dream. The Greek philosopher Plato once told a story. He spoke of people chained inside a cave, watching shadows dance on the wall. To them, those shadows were the only reality. But the truth lay outside the cave, in the world of the sun. Today, modern physics and neuroscience give us a new version of Plato's cave. The shadows on the wall are our perceptions, filtered and shaped by the neural networks of the brain. Buddhism calls this illusion Maya, the shimmering veil that makes the transient appear eternal. Hindu sages remind us that Atman, the true self, is veiled from Brahman, the infinite self, by layers of perception. Taoist masters tell us that the Tao which can be named is not the eternal Tao, for the moment we label reality, we distort it. And science whispers the same truth, what we call the world is a construction inside of us. The brain is a wave converter. Your brain is not simply a lump of flesh. It is a magnificent wave converter. Like a radio picking up invisible broadcasts, the brain receives endless waves of meaning, light waves, sound waves, vibrational frequencies, and interprets them according to the database of past experiences you carry. This means you do not see reality. You see your version of reality. Two people can look at the same sunset. One may feel awe and gratitude, the other may feel loneliness and despair. The sunset is not different, the holograms in their minds are. And so your heaven, your hell, your joy, your sorrow, they are not outside you. They are projections shaped by the architecture of your inner world. The quantum potential. Mystics across time have spoken of an infinite potential, a womb of all possibilities. The Greeks called it the realm of archetypes. Indian philosophy calls it the Akashic field. Modern science whispers of the quantum vacuum, an ocean of virtual particles, waves of potentiality, waiting to be observed into form. This quantum potential is the raw clay of existence. From it, your brain sculpts the holographic world you live in. And here lies the mystery, each person sculpts a different world. Each person lives in their own cocoon of meaning. You do not walk through the universe, you walk through your universe. The kingdom within. Ancient mystics said, the kingdom is within you. What did they mean? They were pointing to this simple, astonishing fact: the brain, through its endless conversions of waves into imagery, gives rise to the inner cosmos in which you dwell. You are the monarch of that cosmos. A queen or a king, sitting on the throne of perception, ruling over billions of images, sounds, and sensations every single day. But here is the danger: most of us do not rule wisely. We fill our kingdoms with old memories, with conditioned judgments, with fears and resentments. We store this in what modern thinkers might call the cache of the brain, quick access files that shape how we interpret new data. So when you meet a new person, you don't really meet them. You meet the cached memory of people like them from your past. You meet your expectations, your projections. And then you say, I know who you are. But in truth, you are meeting only yourself. Renewal and awakening. This is why renewal is so essential. The Buddhists speak of beginner's mind, the courage to see each moment fresh, unclouded by memory. The Greeks spoke of anamnesis, the recollection of truths hidden deep within. Taoists speak of emptying the cup, so that it may be filled with the living water of the Tao. In modern words, we must clear the cache of the brain. We must delete the programs of prejudice and conditioning. Only then can we experience reality as it is, not as we imagine it to be. This is the path of awakening. Not an awakening to some faraway heaven, but an awakening to the universe within your skull, the holographic palace of your mind. Death and continuation. And what of death? Science tells us that when the brain shuts down, the sensory data stream ceases. No more waves are converted into holograms. And yet, mystics across cultures have said, the holographic field of the mind does not simply vanish. It carries forward, into new dimensions. The Egyptians spoke of the Ka, the subtle body that travels beyond. The Greeks spoke of the psyche, the soul that takes wing. Hindus and Buddhists speak of the subtle body moving through realms of rebirth. Perhaps all of these are metaphors for the same truth: consciousness continues. The dream changes, the scenery shifts, but the dreamer remains. You are the dreamer. So, dear listener, let us be clear, you are not a victim of the world. You are the dreamer of the dream. You are the architect of your holographic universe. If you fill your palace with wisdom, compassion, and beauty, you will walk in paradise. If you fill it with fear, anger, and ignorance, you will live in torment, even while the sun shines and the birds sing. Every moment is a choice. Every moment is a chance to renovate your inner world. To turn your slum into a temple. To crown yourself as the conscious sovereign of your holographic universe. Chapter 2: The Architecture of Perception. Every moment of your life, your senses are bombarded with billions of signals. Photons striking your retina. Air molecules vibrating against your eardrums. Tiny chemical molecules entering your nose and tongue. Pressure waves pressing against the skin. And yet, what you call your world is not the raw data. It is the interpretation of that data. Like an artist who takes raw pigments and transforms them into a painting, your brain takes raw waves and transforms them into the holographic experience you call reality. But here's the astonishing truth: the colors you see do not exist outside of you. The sounds you hear do not echo in the air. The scent of a rose does not drift in space. These are interpretations, conversions, translations made by your neural orchestra. The Greeks knew this, in their own way. Pythagoras, who listened to the harmony of the spheres, believed that number and vibration formed the true essence of reality. The world you perceive, he would say, is but the music your mind is tuned to hear. And in the East, the sages of India and China whispered similar secrets. The Taoist sage Laozi reminded us, the 10,000 things rise and fall, but the Tao endures. In other words, the shifting holograms of perception are fleeting, but the underlying field, the great wave ocean of existence, remains eternal. Chapter 3: The Illusion of the Outside World. Let us pause and reflect. When you open your eyes in the morning, you believe you are looking out at the world. The trees, the sky, the walls of your room, they all appear to be out there. But in truth, you are not seeing the trees. You are seeing the image of trees, constructed in the visual cortex of your brain. You are not hearing the birds. You are experiencing your brain's translation of vibrational patterns in the air. Your entire universe exists within the dark, silent chamber of your skull. No light enters the brain. No sound travels there. Only electrical impulses, translated into a holographic wonderland. This is not a metaphor. This is the scientific fact of perception. The Buddhists describe this with the word Maya. The shimmering illusion that deceives us into believing we walk in an external reality. But the enlightened ones knew, the world is a dream, and we are dreamers wrapped in our own cocoons of perception. Chapter 4, The Dream Factory. If life is a dream, then the brain is the dream factory. Neuroscientists tell us that the brain operates by constructing predictive models. It doesn't simply receive reality. It builds it. From infancy, every experience, every sensation, every emotional reaction, is stored in the databanks of memory. This database becomes the template by which new signals are interpreted. So when you see a stranger's face, you don't actually see them as they are. You see a rapid projection, based on the countless faces you've seen before, on your personal history, your culture, your judgments. In Greek philosophy, this was called the realm of eidola, the images that shape our understanding of things. The Neoplatonists taught that the true essence of reality lies beyond appearances, in the eternal forms, but our minds are trapped in the theater of shadows. In India, the yogis taught the same truth in a different tongue, that what we call the world is a mental projection, a series of samskaras, impressions, built up over lifetimes. Thus, every man, every woman, lives in their own dream world, believing it to be reality. Death and continuation. And what of death? Science tells us that when the brain shuts down, the sensory data stream ceases. No more waves are converted into holograms. And yet, mystics across cultures have said, the holographic field of the mind does not simply vanish. It carries forward, into new dimensions. The Egyptians spoke of the Ka, the subtle body that travels beyond. The Greeks spoke of the psyche, the soul that takes wing. Hindus and Buddhists speak of the subtle body moving through realms of rebirth. Perhaps all of these are metaphors for the same truth: consciousness continues. The dream changes, the scenery shifts, but the dreamer remains. You are the dreamer. So, dear listener, let us be clear, you are not a victim of the world. You are the dreamer of the dream. You are the architect of your holographic universe. If you fill your palace with wisdom, compassion, and beauty, you will walk in paradise. If you fill it with fear, anger, and ignorance, you will live in torment, even while the sun shines and the birds sing. Every moment is a choice. Every moment is a chance to renovate your inner world. To turn your slum into a temple. To crown yourself as the conscious sovereign of your holographic universe. Chapter 2, The Architecture of Perception. Every moment of your life, your senses are bombarded with billions of signals. Photons striking your retina. Air molecules vibrating against your eardrums. Tiny chemical molecules entering your nose and tongue. Pressure waves pressing against the skin. And yet, what you call your world is not the raw data. It is the interpretation of that data. Like an artist who takes raw pigments and transforms them into a painting, your brain takes raw waves and transforms them into the holographic experience you call reality. But here's the astonishing truth: the colors you see do not exist outside of you. The sounds you hear do not echo in the air. The scent of a rose does not drift in space. These are interpretations, conversions, translations made by your neural orchestra. The Greeks knew this, in their own way. Pythagoras, who listened to the harmony of the spheres, believed that number and vibration formed the true essence of reality. The world you perceive, he would say, is but the music your mind is tuned to hear. And in the East, the sages of India and China whispered similar secrets. The Taoist sage Laozi reminded us, the 10,000 things rise and fall, but the Tao endures. In other words, the shifting holograms of perception are fleeting, but the underlying field, the great wave ocean of existence, remains eternal. Chapter 3, The Illusion of the Outside World. Let us pause and reflect. When you open your eyes in the morning, you believe you are looking out at the world. The trees, the sky, the walls of your room, they all appear to be out there. But in truth, you are not seeing the trees. You are seeing the image of trees, constructed in the visual cortex of your brain. You are not hearing the birds. You are experiencing your brain's translation of vibrational patterns in the air. Your entire universe exists within the dark, silent chamber of your skull. No light enters the brain. No sound travels there. Only electrical impulses, translated into a holographic wonderland. This is not a metaphor. This is the scientific fact of perception. The Buddhists describe this with the word Maya. The shimmering illusion that deceives us into believing we walk in an external reality. But the enlightened ones knew, the world is a dream, and we are dreamers wrapped in our own cocoons of perception. Chapter 4, The Dream Factory. If life is a dream, then the brain is the dream factory. Neuroscientists tell us that the brain operates by constructing predictive models. It doesn't simply receive reality. It builds it. From infancy, every experience, every sensation, every emotional reaction, is stored in the databanks of memory. This database becomes the template by which new signals are interpreted. So when you see a stranger's face, you don't actually see them as they are. You see a rapid projection, based on the countless faces you've seen before, on your personal history, your culture, your judgments. In Greek philosophy, this was called the realm of eidola, the images that shape our understanding of things. The Neoplatonists taught that the true essence of reality lies beyond appearances, in the eternal forms, but our minds are trapped in the theater of shadows. In India, the yogis taught the same truth in a different tongue, that what we call the world is a mental projection, a series of samskaras, impressions, built up over lifetimes. Thus, every man, every woman, lives in their own dream world, believing it to be reality. Chapter 5, The Cache of the Mind. Consider how your computer recalls websites you've visited. It does not reload the entire page every time, it pulls from the cache, a memory bank of images and files stored for speed. Your brain does the same. When you see a dog, your brain does not construct the image from scratch. It pulls from the cache, dog, for legs, tail, fur, barking sound. It then overlays the incoming signals onto this template. This makes perception faster. But it also makes it distorted. For now you are not seeing this dog. You are seeing the memory of dogs you've encountered before. You are living in the shadow of your own data. The Zen masters knew this danger. That is why they spoke of beginner's mind, the ability to see the world as if for the very first time, free from the distortions of memory. The Greeks also knew it. Heraclitus, the weeping philosopher, told us, no man steps in the same river twice. Everything changes. To assume that the present moment is identical to the past is to be blinded. Thus, renewal is the path. To cleanse the cache. To release conditioned judgments. To see reality as it unfolds now. Chapter 6, Heaven and Hell Within. Let us now explore a radical truth. Your heaven and your hell are not places you go to after death. They are holograms you live in right now. When your mind is filled with compassion, beauty, and peace, the holographic world you inhabit shines like paradise. When your mind is filled with anger, fear, and hatred, the hologram twists into torment. This is not theology. This is psychology. This is neuroscience. This is the truth of lived experience. Buddhists describe the 6 realms of existence: gods, humans, animals, hungry ghosts, demons, and hell beings. But they remind us, these are not literal places. They are mental states. To live in greed is to live as a hungry ghost. To live in anger is to live in hell. To live in wisdom is to live as a god. The Greeks had their own language for this. Hades was not simply a physical underworld, but a metaphor for the descent of the soul into shadow and ignorance. Olympus was not merely a mountain, but a state of divine consciousness. Thus, every day, you walk in your chosen realm. Heaven and hell are nothing more than the quality of your hologram. Chapter 7: Death as Transition. And what of death? When the body falls silent, when the senses close, the brain ceases its conversion of waves into holograms. The outer world dissolves. But the inner hologram, the world of mind and memory, continues. Mystics of every tradition have spoken of this. The Tibetans teach of the bardo, the intermediate realm in which the soul navigates visions shaped by its own consciousness. The Greeks told of the journey across the river Styx, where the psyche carried its essence beyond the material. In Hinduism, the soul carries its samskaras, its stored impressions, into a new incarnation. All of these are metaphors pointing to a single truth: death is not an end, but a transition. A shift of the holographic dream into another frequency, another domain of existence. Chapter 8: Awakening the Quantum Self. So where does this leave us? We stand at the edge of a great realization, that we are not passive inhabitants of a material world, but active creators of our holographic universes. The Greeks would say, know thyself. The Indians would say, tat tvam asi, thou art that. The Taoists would remind us, the Tao flows within you, as you. Modern science says, you are a pattern of energy, a wave collapsed into form, an observer embedded in the field. You are the dreamer and the dream. And when you realize this, you step into your true power. The power to reshape your inner world. To crown yourself the monarch of your consciousness. To transform the slums of your mind into palaces of light. Chapter 9: The Ocean of Waves. Imagine standing on the shore of a vast cosmic ocean. The waves are endless, rolling in every direction, shimmering with energy. Some waves crash and foam, others ripple gently. This is the quantum field, the ocean of possibility. Physicists tell us that beneath the particles of matter, beneath atoms and molecules, lies the quantum vacuum, a field of potential where particles flicker in and out of existence, where waves of probability await the touch of observation to become form. Mystics across cultures spoke of this long before science confirmed it. To the Greeks, it was the realm of Arche, the primordial substance from which all arises. To the Hindus, it was Akasha, the subtle ether that holds the records of all that has ever been. To Taoist sages, it was the Tao itself, the nameless, formless source of all things. To Buddhists, it was the Dharmakaya, the boundless body of truth. And here's the astonishing connection: your brain is a wave interpreter. It does not simply swim in this ocean. It selects, filters, and collapses waves into the holographic reality you live in. You are not a passive being carried by the tide. You are a co-creator, shaping your wave world with every thought, every perception, every act of awareness. Chapter 10, The Archetypes of the Inner Cosmos. Carl Jung, the Swiss psychologist, spoke of the collective unconscious, a vast reservoir of symbols and archetypes shared by all humanity. He believed that within every mind dwell the same eternal figures, the mother, the hero, the shadow, the wise old man. But Jung was not the first to glimpse this. Plato taught of the eternal forms, the perfect blueprints of reality, from which every imperfect copy in the material world is derived. Hinduism speaks of the Purusha, the cosmic person, within whom all archetypes live. Buddhism speaks of the Bodhisattvas, luminous archetypes of compassion and wisdom. In modern language, we can say, these archetypes are patterns in the holographic field of the mind. They are the constellations by which the soul navigates its journey. When you dream, when you imagine, when you create, you are weaving with these archetypal threads. And here lies a secret: to live unconsciously is to be ruled by these archetypes. To awaken is to learn to recognize them, to harness them, to dance with them consciously. Chapter 11, The Spirit of Light. What is the essence of this holographic being we call self? The mystics tell us, it is spirit. The Greeks spoke of pneuma, the breath of life. The Hindus called it prana, the vital energy that animates all beings. The Chinese named it qi, the flowing current that sustains existence. Science too, in its own language, points toward this. The body and brain are patterns of electromagnetic activity, shimmering with information. The Sufis called this essence nur, light. Not the light of the sun or the lamp, but the light of meaning, the luminous data from which consciousness is woven. The spirit is not a ghostly object floating inside you. It is the informational essence, the radiant field, the pattern of patterns that defines your very being. And because information cannot be destroyed, the spirit is immortal. When the body dissolves, the spirit continues, like a melody that survives even when the instrument breaks. Chapter 12, The Dream of Death. Death. A word that chills many, yet a reality none can escape. But what is death, truly, in this holographic vision? When the senses shut down, when the wave converter of the brain ceases its work, the external hologram collapses. But the internal hologram, the world of memory, archetype, and spirit, persists. Death, then, is not the end of experience, but the shifting of dreamscapes. The Tibetans describe the bardo, a luminous corridor where the soul encounters visions that mirror its own consciousness. The Greeks told of the Isles of the Blessed, or the shadowy plains of Hades. Hindus spoke of countless lokas, realms of existence, ascending and descending, into which the spirit journeys. All of these are metaphors for the same truth: the afterlife is shaped by the quality of your holographic mind. If you have cultivated wisdom, compassion, clarity, then your holographic transition is radiant, heavenly. If you have lived in hatred, greed, ignorance, then your inner hologram becomes torment. Heaven and hell are not punishments from outside. They are the flowering of the seeds you have sown within. Chapter 13, The Transformation of the Self. So what must we do, in this fleeting span of life? The mystics are unanimous: we must transform. The Greeks called it metanoia, a change of mind, a turning inward. The Hindus called it moksha, liberation from illusion. The Buddhists called it nirvana, the blowing out of the fires of delusion. The Taoists called it returning to the Tao, the effortless harmony of being. Modern psychology echoes the same: transformation is the shedding of conditioned patterns, the clearing of the mental cache, the awakening of awareness. To live unconsciously is to be a prisoner of your hologram. To awaken is to become its master. The momentum of past impressions. The Buddhists called them skandhas, the heaps of attachment and aversion. The Taoists called them dust on the mirror of the mind. To awaken is to break these chains, to wipe the mirror clean, to see freshly. Chapter 17, Time as an Illusion. We think of time as a river, flowing from past to present to future. But what if time is itself part of the hologram? Physics suggests that past, present, and future may all exist simultaneously in the quantum field. That what we experience as time is simply the brain's way of stitching still frames together, like a movie projector creating the illusion of movement. Plato hinted at this when he spoke of eternity as the moving image of the eternal. The Hindus described Kala, time, as a devourer, yet also as an illusion. Buddhists remind us, only the present moment is real, past and future are mental constructs. Taoist sages say, the Tao is timeless. So when you cling to the past, you cling to a dream already gone. When you worry about the future, you worry about a dream not yet born. Reality is always here, now, in the living hologram of your mind. Chapter 18, The Dream Within the Dream. Have you ever awakened from a dream, only to realize you are still dreaming? Mystics say this is our situation. At night, you dream in sleep. By day, you dream in wakefulness. Both are holograms, projections of the mind. The only difference is the degree of coherence. The Buddhists call this the dreamlike nature of reality. The Hindus say, life is like a dream in the mind of Brahman. The Greeks spoke of life as a play upon the stage, with each of us actors wearing masks. So the question arises, is there a way to awaken from the waking dream? Yes. Through awareness. Through cultivating the ability to recognize the holographic nature of every experience, you become lucid in the dream of life. Just as in a lucid dream, you can fly, so too in waking life you can reshape your hologram, with intention, with clarity, with consciousness. It is the quality of your holographic world, here and now. When you fill your mind with compassion, gratitude, and clarity, the world you inhabit becomes radiant, harmonious, paradise-like. When you fill it with anger, resentment, and fear, the world you inhabit becomes heavy, distorted, hellish. The Buddhists call this karma, the shaping of reality by mental seeds. The Hindus call it dharma, living in harmony with the cosmic order. The Greeks called it eudaimonia, the flourishing of the soul. Taoists call it living in accordance with the Tao, effortless harmony. Heaven and hell are not destinations. They are frequencies of mind. Chapter 22, The Inner Alchemy. Mystics often spoke of alchemy, the transformation of base metal into gold. But true alchemy was never about lead or furnaces. It was about the inner transformation of consciousness. The Greeks spoke of inner alchemy as the ascent of the soul from ignorance to wisdom. Taoist alchemists spoke of refining the inner elixirs of Jing, Qi, and Shen into immortality. Hindu yogis spoke of raising Kundalini, the inner fire, to awaken divine awareness. Buddhists spoke of turning poison into medicine, transforming suffering into compassion. In modern language, this means transmuting fear into courage, anger into clarity, ignorance into wisdom, desire into love. This is the real gold, the radiant light of an awakened holographic mind. Chapter 23, Becoming the Dreamer. At last, we come to the core truth. You are not simply a figure in the dream. You are the dreamer. The Greeks told us, know thyself. The Hindus told us, thou art that. The Buddhists told us, form is emptiness, emptiness is form. The Taoists told us, the Tao within you is the Tao of all things. Science tells us, reality is a holographic projection, shaped by the brain's interpretation of waves. You are the creator of the world you inhabit. You are the architect of your holographic palace. And once you realize this, you no longer live as a victim of circumstance. You live as a conscious co-creator, sculpting your universe with awareness, intention, and love. Chapter 24, The Mask of the Ego. Picture an actor on a stage, wearing a mask. The audience cheers, laughs, or weeps, not at the actor, but at the mask. This, the Greeks called persona, the mask of the soul. Today, we call it the ego. The bundle of memories, roles, identities, and judgments that you present to the world, and often mistake for your true self. But the ego is only a mask. The Hindus call it a hamkara, the eye maker, a construct that identifies with body and mind. The Buddhists call it the illusion of self, anatta. Taoist sages say, the name that can be named is not the eternal name. And science too supports this. Neuroscience shows that the sense of self is not a fixed entity but a process, a constantly updated simulation, woven moment by moment in the brain. So when you say, I, who is speaking? Is it the eternal spirit, or the temporary mask? To awaken is to recognize the mask as a mask. To see through the ego, and glimpse the luminous being behind it. Chapter 25, The Shadow Within. Yet the mask hides not only light, but shadow. Carl Jung spoke of the shadow, the disowned parts of ourselves, the rejected emotions, the forbidden desires, the denied fears. In your holographic universe, these shadows lurk in the alleys of your inner city. And the more you repress them, the stronger they become. The Greeks told myths of monsters rising from the underworld, Medusa, the Hydra, the Minotaur. The Hindus spoke of demons born from imbalance. Buddhists warned of Mara, the Lord of Illusion. Taoists spoke of the yin forces, which if unbalanced can consume the yang. To deny the shadow is to live in fear. To embrace it is to integrate its power. The alchemists knew, the lead of the shadow must be transformed into the gold of wisdom. The dragon you fear guards the treasure you seek. So do not run from your shadow. Meet it, face it, and bring it into the light of awareness. Chapter 26, The Archetype of the Sovereign. In every culture, myths speak of the king or queen, the sovereign who rules the kingdom with wisdom or tyranny. This archetype is not about thrones or crowns. It is about the sovereignty of the mind. Your holographic world is your kingdom. Every thought is a subject. Every emotion is a citizen. Every memory is a district. If you rule with fear, your kingdom crumbles. If you rule with wisdom, your kingdom flourishes. The Greeks called this sophrosyne, self-mastery. Hindus spoke of the Raja Yogi, the royal path of self-control. Buddhists described the Chakravartin, the wheel-turning monarch who governs inner and outer worlds in harmony. Taoists spoke of the sage king, who rules not by force but by alignment with the Tao. To awaken is to ascend the throne of your mind, not as a tyrant of desire, but as a sovereign of wisdom and compassion. Chapter 27, The Hero's Journey. And how do we become sovereigns? Through the journey of transformation. Joseph Campbell called it the hero's journey. Across cultures, myths tell the same story, the call to adventure, the descent into the unknown, the confrontation with trials, the encounter with death, and the return with the treasure of wisdom. In Greek myth, it is Odysseus wandering home, Perseus slaying Medusa. In Hindu epic, it is Arjuna awakening on the battlefield. In Buddhism, it is Siddhartha leaving his palace to become the Buddha. In Taoist lore, it is the immortal who journeys through the mountains of mystery. And in your life, it is the journey of facing your fears, transcending your conditionings, and awakening to the cosmic truth of who you are. Every challenge you face is part of your hero's journey. Every loss, every trial, is a dragon guarding the treasure of awareness. To awaken is to recognize that you are both the hero and the treasure, the seeker and the sought. Chapter 28, The Illusion of Separation. Why do we suffer? Because we believe we are separate. Separate from others. Separate from nature. Separate from the cosmos. Separate from the divine. This illusion of separation is the root of fear, greed, hatred, and sorrow. The Greeks spoke of eros, the longing of the soul to reunite with its other half. Hindus spoke of Advaita, non-duality, the truth that Atman and Brahman are one. Buddhists spoke of interdependence, that all beings arise together like jewels in Indra's net. Taoists spoke of yin and yang, two that are always one. Modern physics too whispers, all particles are entangled. The universe is a single field, vibrating as one symphony. When you awaken, you see that the other is not truly other. You are the tree, the river, the bird, the sky. You are the stranger you fear, the friend you love, the enemy you resist. To awaken is to dissolve the illusion of separation and realize the unity of all existence. Chapter 29, The Cosmic Perspective. Imagine for a moment the vastness of the cosmos. Galaxies spinning, stars birthing and dying, planets whirling in silent orbits. Compared to this immensity, your personal worries shrink to the size of dust motes. The Greeks gazed at the night sky and felt awe, calling it cosmos, order, harmony. Hindus saw the dance of Shiva, endless creation and destruction. Buddhists spoke of countless worlds arising and dissolving in an infinite cycle. Taoists saw heaven and earth as mirrors of each other. And yet, science tells us, the atoms in your body were forged in ancient stars. The calcium in your bones, the iron in your blood, the oxygen you breathe, all are gifts of exploding suns. You are not a speck in the cosmos. You are the cosmos in the form of a human being. To awaken is to see through the hologram of personal drama and feel the immensity of your cosmic identity. Chapter 30, Living as the Dreamer. What does it mean to live as the dreamer? It means to take responsibility for your holographic world. To stop blaming fate, others, or circumstances, and to recognize, you are the architect. It means to cultivate awareness, so that each moment becomes an act of conscious creation. It means to live with compassion, for every being you meet is a projection of your own consciousness, a mirror of your own self. It means to live with courage, knowing that every fear is an illusion, every limitation a mask, every obstacle a teacher. It means to live with joy, dancing in the dream, aware that you are both the dancer and the dance. And so, dear listener, we arrive at the threshold of the greatest realization. That you are not a prisoner of circumstance, nor a shadow cast upon the wall of the cave. You are the dreamer of the dream, the sovereign of your inner kingdom, the very cosmos awakening to itself. The holographic universe of your mind is infinite. Within you are entire galaxies of possibility, constellations of wisdom, oceans of compassion waiting to unfold. Every thought you nurture, every perception you allow, every act of awareness, reshapes the very reality in which you live. You are the alchemist. You are the hero. You are the light and the shadow, the dancer and the dance. So step forward with courage. Create consciously. Live with awe. And remember, the universe you seek has always been within you. If this journey has touched something deep within you, if it has opened a window to wonder and possibility, then join us again. Please subscribe for more inspirational videos. Together, let us keep exploring the mystery. Together, let us awaken to the infinite.